I'm really pleased today that we've got a slightly different focus on what we're looking to achieve with the webinar. As if you have been a regular viewer of the webinars, you've seen that a lot of the topics are around how forces have designed applications and power apps to really make the process that the app is focusing on a more effective and more efficient and a great way to actually put things forward. But we want to make sure that the power apps are there for everybody within the force to use. And I think if you remember from last week's event, we had Avon and Somerset talking about the wonderful templates that you can bring in to help make that design process really good. But what I'm really pleased to do today is introduce John Edwards and Steve Ford from Devon and Cornwall, who have been looking at how we can make those apps more accessible, particularly for those officers and staff who need that requirement, who need that support with regards to accessibility tools to ensure that they too can do their job effectively and efficiently. So first of all, I'm going to ask John to come onto the screen. And John, can you tell us a little bit, please, about the idea behind it and what made you start to go down? So what's the context behind what you're doing?
I wanted to be able to put some color adaptation into our power apps. It's for people with disabilities, but it's there for everybody to be able to use and make it beneficial. I have a condition. I have Irlen Syndrome, which I'll explain later on. Also, I have a dyslexia, which also can be helped by having different color backgrounds. So that's from doing it in the full scope, but I wanted also to make these color adaptations available to everybody for when they go and use it at night or during the day, and other conditions that people have, like migraines or dry eyes. Those can all be beneficial by having the right colors and less bright screens for themselves. That's where I was coming from with it.
Excellent, thank you. So I just want to check, are we bringing Steve in now to talk about some of the I suppose the adaptations that's already taken place from a black and white side before we look at the work you're doing around color?
I can do a presentation, and then to the point of capturing where it is for everybody. Then we can have a demonstration of where we are at the moment, and then we'll conclude with having where I'm currently working on the full colorization of power apps.
Excellent. Well, I'll come off the screen and I will hand over to you.
Right, I'll just give a quick overview of our team. We're a small team of three, but unfortunately Steve's had to return back to his substantive role. We're led by Gary, that's actually away today, so he's politely given it to us to take forward. And myself, as also an analyst, and as Steve has said, he's returned to his substantive role after being with us for a year. So if you want to contact us, please do. We can give all the details in the chat afterwards. So the main thing we were looking at is, as well as giving it an accessible system, we wanted to be able to do the colorization of power apps that was available to everybody. So we decided to put in basically a daylight mode that made the screen very bright, because I'm sure you're aware when you have a mobile phone that it goes very bright when you're outside in daylight. And then it could be sometimes if the colors are not very contrasting or not very bright, you then can't be able to see the screen. So that's why we've got the sunny mode for everybody. We also have a nighttime mode, which is useful because we didn't want, again, to have all the bright white screen, which is the default of having black on white, to be glaring people at night. It's also, it doesn't light up the person's face when they have a mainly white background. But there also, I'll show you on the next slide, there are at least 9 conditions that people are photosensitive, where they either want to shy away from bright light or could trigger their epilepsy or exacerbate their migraines. So I'll just show you a list of. This one comes from Theraspecs, which is a tinted glasses company. There is ones in the UK that also have tinted glasses, as you can, if I just show you a second there. I also have color spectacles to adapt everything that I see, so I don't need to have different color paper or adaptions on the screen. I get it fully with the glasses that I wear all the time, and they're also single vision for on the computer screen. But as you can see there's lots of quite common conditions where having that bright white screen can exacerbate their conditions. So that's why the dark mode is there. It's very useful for them as well, because they can basically tone the brightness down and still be able to have that visibility of it all. So also the main thing that people would have seen with the color adaptation is the high contrast mode that's available on Windows and on mobiles as well. This is sort of very much a one or two different color combinations. So it enables people with low vision to be able to see the contrast between the colors, but it's also beneficial for people that's photosensitive because it's got that black background, and also you can turn the brightness completely down, because of the high contrast in the colors, you'll be able to still see the difference on it. I know there's a lot of text on there, but I'll make available the presentation afterwards, so you can read it through by viewing the video again.
Thank you.
So this is where we came up with, Steve took my initial work that I was doing, and we also wanted to get a power app out there to enable our users to be able to use these features, but also how to use power apps in general. So he took it forward, and then as you can see on the screen there, he did it with a slider to actually allow people to use this template and then be able to adapt it to what they want to do, because we have quite a few internal citizens developers that also develop power apps for us. It's also what we also captured in there that and Steve's also done a lot of work on, is make everything run our power apps linked to Microsoft lists. So even if we develop an application, we got the Microsoft list in the background, which is all the text content. So that's easier for an end user to update without having to have the technical knowledge of the application to be able to update the text. If I just come out of this one a second, and I'll allow Steve to take the screen and give a demonstration of where he took this, if that's okay.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, Steve, thank you very much for coming along today. Over to you. Can you just show us a little bit more about your work? And you're on mute.
I can, if I can find the mute button. So good afternoon, everybody. I'll just talk for a couple of minutes before I hand you back to John to talk about the vision. So as John's already alluded, we've created a template for ourselves to use to standardize everything, for our citizen developers to use to incorporate accessibility settings. And this is in the PDS catalog as well to share with you. So a very quick demonstration of the first part of this template. As John's already alluded, hidden behind this settings at the top, we've got light mode, dark mode, high contrast mode, and plain text mode. So here's dark mode, and you can see it's already changing the content in the app. Here's contrast modes, and here's plain text mode. This one was suggested by our equality and diversity team. Some people, neurodiverse people in particular, prefer to read things in plain text, so it's automatically converting our content into plain text, and here I can put it back into dark. As John's alluded, I suffer from migraines, so I prefer to read everything in dark mode. So it will remember these settings through every page of this app. What's useful for us, as John's already alluded in this Power App, is we pull all of our content through from SharePoint lists, so end users can change the content without having to come to us for text changes. So it's really useful for us to have this template that we can just keep redeploying. Obviously taking inspiration from our friends Kyle and George at Avon and Somerset. I hope you're listening, fellas. We want to make this into a component library to be redeployable in future. We'd love to collaborate with you on that in the future and get that working for people. So expect us to reach out in the shared channel, or if you'd like to do that, we'd be really up for that. What this template app in the solutions catalog also offers you is a guide explaining how everything in this app works. So if I put it through on play, it tells you everything that's in the app, tells you how it works. Got a little toggle here explaining how the tree view works and how all the components are put together. Some links and some guidance. Something here telling you how the slider works and how the variables are working, setting the colors. And basically telling you how you can build a power app. So this is a guide, as well as being an accessible power app template. This is a guide for other forces on how to deploy what we've built and how to use the accessibility settings yourself. So it's a 2-for-1. Obviously, I haven't built this page quite correctly for the dark mode, but hopefully you get the idea. So we'd love to collaborate with you. I hope the message you get here from us is that we don't think we know everything. We've done the best we can with accessibility with what we've got, which is some advice from our neurodiversity team, some advice from our equality and diversity team, with our own knowledge and experience from working with each other, from our own neurodiverse conditions. And we've tried to make a template that works for us, for our team, to ensure consistency. Same message as our colleagues in Avon and Somerset last week around the component library. And we wanted to share that with you to help you make accessible power apps as well. So that's it from me. I could talk forever, but I'm really conscious of time. So I will hand you back to the awesome John, who will talk to you about where we're going in the future.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Steve. And I know we're going to put contact details in the chat. And also Russ will very kindly put the link into the solutions catalog should you not have access to it, so you can access this one. But John, back to you. Tell us about how you're developing the whole aspect around colour and accessibility, please.
Okay, I'll just take back the screen, hopefully. As Steve was saying, we're in the moment of developing this, and we would love some feedback from other people that have other conditions or other elements that we could add to it. And one of the elements we were looking at is to do a whole screen, whole app overlay, so it could tint the entire app to a certain color, which you already have built in on the mobile app. There's not so much available in on the desktop application. Right, hopefully we should have the screen sharing again now.
Yeah,
as Steve's already mentioned, it's in the PDS catalog, which is the first interim stage. Right, let's get next page. Hopefully. Right, so next we were going to go from having the full colorization of the application, which is now going more into more specialist people with disabilities, but also for still having a sort of an interest of making this available for everybody or to beneficial for everybody. As I've already alluded, a beneficial of full color is that the high contrast mode is not really works for every single person. It just isn't the correct color combinations. So that's why we went more for full. And also we got a condition that I've already mentioned, of Irlen Syndrome, which I've got another slide, and also I'll put some links in for further information on what the person with that actually sees rather than without the color adaptation. So I can give some links to those later on. And also the color preferences is as we've developed apps, people come back to us and say, well, I don't quite like that shade of blue. I want it the same blue as my other application. But this then gives them the ability to have exactly what they want. And it could be individually saved for them to make it specific to themselves. So this is Irlen Syndrome. It's not actually well known because I think a lot of people will have it, but don't actually know that they have it, or it's masked by other conditions that they would have. And this isn't a visual impairity. It's nothing to do with the eyes receiving the information, which you would have standard corrected glasses for. It's how the brain is actually processing the information, and it tends to align up with other conditions like dyslexia, and that's why some people have misnamed it as calling it visual dyslexia, where it isn't. But it is like 14% or 1 in 7 people that can actually have this condition. So it can actually give the people could be the text could be blurry, or it could be washed out, that some of the parts of the word are bright and some are not. You can also get floating off the page. You can also get rippling, which is sort of where you get waves of the text as you're actually viewing it, or it could be the fact that it could shake slightly, and also it could be swirling, which is sort of it's focused in the middle and then sort of rippling around the outside of it. But a lot of people, from what I've read, can get this, but their brain is then correcting it, but then that gives them the migraine headaches, or gives them eye strain, or they feel quite tired after they're doing it. But I'll post some links that actually gives more of a better demonstration of that. And also different fonts can actually help people with this condition, as well as people for dyslexia, where on Power Apps, you tend to, if you go and use the configure it and you only use the display option, it tends to give you a pull down list of only 20 different fonts that's available within Power Apps. But if you actually go onto the advanced tab and actually type the font that you have on your desktop in quotes, it will then pick it up from your machine. It has to be used with caution, that make sure that this is available on all the devices that you're going to deploy it on. I know we can have an if statement on there, so it will give it only for a specific device, or you could have it for a mobile rather than to a desktop. But I'm looking at that to be able to build that in as a future enhancement, to have that onto our accessibility screen. Right, if I just give on to, this is a screenshot of our current working version. I'll give a demonstration of it, but I've got a capture here to go through the items that's on there. In a similar way, I've put on the top our night and sunny and high contrast mode that was the same that was in Steve's first draft of it. I also need to put in the plain text mode, but I was just trying to get it all to fit in on the same screen. As you can see, then the option under settings, we could turn the actual background image off, because I've deliberately picked on our presentation our PowerPoint slides that have quite complex images in the background, and I expect some of you are noticing that it can be quite distracting to have that background image on there. So I've got the ability to turn that off, and then have the ability then of a pull down list of being able to pick which screen element that you want to be able to go and to adjust. So you can pick any of the items that's displayed in the example below. Then we got 8 standard colors that people could pick. Just if people are not aware they got that and want to try it for the first time, they're able to just click on that, and that will demonstrate what the color is below to help them build up and see which main band of color that may be beneficial for themselves before they optimize it later. Below there we have 3 colors for the RGB, the red, green, blue values that are given in Power Apps, so we can then individually adjust it. But if you've already had an assessment, or you know it from another application, you can be able to, you could just type in the values straight away. And also on the bottom of this, where I've just got working the ability to save these settings onto your mobile phone or onto your desktop, and then also be able to recall it. It's quite manual at the moment, but what I'll be looking at doing is having the ability to save them onto our mobile phone, and then automatically recall the last one that's been used. So in case the phone or the desktops gets used by multiple people, they can have their own individual settings, but then it would automatically recall the last one. Right, so if I just get the actual working version for you and bring it across. So this is it in reality. We've got the example down the bottom of how it looks and feels. And then we can just click on the night mode and give you the example at the bottom, and also give you the pop-up along the top saying consider dropping the brightness. We've also got the sunny mode, again tells you at the top to increase the brightness if you haven't got that automatic setting. Literally got the one click for the high contrast that Steve already mentioned. And then we've got the reset to bring it back to normal. And here's the ability I've got on that slider to turn off the background, because then it, as you can probably see, that then makes the text far easier to see for people with disabilities, but for anybody else. And here's where you can literally start clicking the buttons to see what actually then works for you and think, well, if red's okay for myself, I can then move it across to make it a bit darker and see whether that works for us. But also, as I've already mentioned, you could just type in the number, click on, and just click on that to be able to do it. And that gives you the ability to select the different elements within the application.
So this really gives the user to adapt it to exactly what works for them, rather than being delivered a bespoke setting.
Yeah, and it then also gives them the ability to save it on with that function at the bottom, and then to be able to recall that back. But I say we're working on being able to download that on there, and then when the application starts, it will go look to see if that file is available, and if it is, it will bring it up. I was having a way of customizing it to a saved version for like a shoulder number for the officer, but then also remembering the settings of the last person that used it, to have it like default settings as well as it for the officer number. So when the mobile phone or this application is used again, it picks up that default. But then it also allows, once we then created it into a template, the same as Steve was doing on that first version, when other people develop it or we've developed other applications, the settings are there automatically to go across the whole plethora of different applications. And as Steve's already alluded, we're looking at, rather than these which is being hard coded, we're making them components. So rather than picking a button, then having to put all the accessibilities into it, we could just click an accessible button, and then all the accessibility is built in there in the background. But then eventually, once we've got that stable, we would quite like to sort of approach Microsoft to be able to get this ability as a component library, so everybody across the world could effectively start using this color adaptation, so it's there built in for everybody to use. So if anybody's, I don't know if there's any questions have come in at all, but I'll just stop sharing for a second, and we can see if there's anything we need to go back over.
Yes, I'm bringing both yourself and Steve, if you can come on screen as well. We do have a couple of questions, but also I'd like to point out the comment that was made by Len Horton, which I'm very grateful for, Len. Not a question, but just to say this is one of the most informative Wednesday webinars I've attended. Thank you to Devon and Cornwall for sharing. It really is great to hear that, because I think accessibility tools is one of those areas that we're really trying to encourage, but it's taking a little while to get some traction within forces. But I do think what you're both doing there is wonderful in aiding and helping that cause.
Yeah, I come from a background, as well as having the conditions. When I worked for the Met Office for 15 years, I was there assisting them installing all the accessibility software that they had for for visual impairment, so I've got quite that knowledge scope there. And I also had a disabled sister that I adapted with her motor difficulties, as well as other people within the Cheshire home she was in. So it's bringing all that knowledge together and being able to put it into the applications in a format that everybody can use and make benefit of.
Yeah, no, it's definitely brilliant. And Andrew has also said in the chat, not a question, but this is absolutely fantastic. Can we get Niche to also adopt this? I think that's something we can help sort of push that cause. But we do have some questions that I can come to. So thank you both to Len and to Andrew for those really kind words. Helena has asked, I do enjoy that there are pre-made colours to be able to select from. Is there a way to change what colours are displayed in as the examples?
Yeah, in the Power App itself, those colours can be changed by just changing the actual code of what the default options are. I haven't got any settings to actually. We could have a separate screen that those default 8 colors they could select in a similar way that they have those sliders. But I'll certainly make a note of that to get that in, because that shouldn't be too difficult to have an additional setting screen where you use the sliders to pick those 8 colors.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Steve, you had gone back to Helena as well, I think.
I have. So if I could just come in, just really keen to say, we know we don't know everything, particularly about the diversity and equality and accessibility. So we don't think we're the experts. We've just done the best we can. This is an open invitation to everybody out there. If you've got something to contribute to this conversation, if you want to know how it works, if you think you can do it better or differently, if you've got an idea, please reach out to us and contribute and engage, and we're really happy to fold you into the next version of this. Also, we're particularly keen to hear from anyone that can make Bionic Reader work, that thing that makes the first half of a sentence bold. If you can help us do that without a complicated Power Automate flow, we'd really love to hear from you. But please reach out to us and we can try and make these things work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will make sure that your email addresses are published. And I think that sentiment, if I can just dwell on that for just 30 seconds, all of these Wednesday webinars where we have forces coming in and talking to us about what they've done and how they've looked to develop a new way of working, and we have the solutions catalog where people can then access them. It is all about collaboration. It's all about sharing ideas and bringing the great and the good together for the benefit of policing. So I really echo what you've just said there, Steve. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and if people do want to collaborate, please reach out. So we've just got, I think, one more post that's come in. So it's from Russ, just reminding you that if you don't have access to the PDS tenant, including access to the solutions and the catalog, then he's posted a link in there that if you can click on that, complete the form, and then we will be able to grant you access. We are slightly over time, so I do not want to go without saying thank you so much to John and to Steve for a fantastic presentation. It really has been super informative, and it's given us some real food for thought. And if we can get the contacts and the collaboration going, that would be really, really helpful. I'll just finally bring up the map to remind everyone of your business engagement manager. So if you have anything that you would like to share, or you'd like to talk further and you want to reach out, please contact your business engagement manager. You've got the contact names on there. If you haven't got their email address, then please reach out to someone within PDS or use the link that has been shared on the screen or in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to help you. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is the last of the webinars before we break for the summer. So thank you all very much for those who attended today, and if you've attended on previous sessions. We look forward to seeing you back again in September. So in the meantime, if you're having a holiday, make the most of your holiday, but most importantly to all of you, stay safe, keep working hard and well, and we hope to see you all in the very near future. Take care and see you soon.